Hey everyone. It seems like space is really having a moment right now. Everywhere you look,
Hmm.
there's news about new discoveries and these big, ambitious missions.
Absolutely.
So, you all shared an article with us from Future Tech World, and it was about China's plan to become a leader in space science.
By 2050.
Yeah, by 2050. And we're going to dive deep into that today.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, we'll be exploring what it means for the future of space exploration, and we'll also take a look at NASA's upcoming Europa Clipper mission and how it all kind of fits together.
What I find really interesting is how China's goals are kind of like changing the dynamics in space exploration. It's like
Yeah.
a new player coming into the game that's been, dominated by just a few key players for decades now.
Right. And it was President Xi Jinping himself who announced this bold vision, right,
Hmm.
at the China National Space Administration. And the goal is to make China like a global leader in space science by 2050.
That's a huge goal.
Yeah, and this isn't just talk, right?
Right.
They're aiming to put a person on the moon before 2030 and
Wow.
build a research station there.
These goals have the potential to like trigger this wave of innovation,
Yeah.
much like the original space race did. Remember how that competition just like
Yeah.
spurred all these advancements in everything from satellites to material science?
Yeah.
This time around, we could see like multiple major players all pushing the boundaries of what's possible in space.
And it's not like China's starting from scratch here.
No, not at all.
Their Chain 4 mission, which landed on the far side of the moon
Incredible.
back in 2019, that
Definitely.
was major, right? Like that must have taken some serious technological prowess.
Absolutely. The Change of 4 mission was a technological marvel.
Yeah.
Landing on the far side of the moon, I mean, it presented these unique challenges,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
maintaining communication with Earth.
Right.
They had developed like these new relay satellites and navigation systems just to make it work.
Wow.
That mission really showed like China's mastery of these complex spaceflight operations.
So we've got China setting its sights on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, NASA is gearing up for a mission to, one of the most intriguing places, I think, in our solar system, which is Jupiter's moon, Europa.
Europa.
And the Europa Clipper is set to launch pretty soon,
Very soon.
October 14th.
Yeah.
What makes Europa so special? Like, why is NASA so interested in this icy moon?
Well, Europa is thought to hold this massive ocean beneath its icy surface.
Oh.
Maybe even twice the volume of all the oceans on Earth combined.
Really?
Yeah. The evidence for this comes from, a few key sources.
Right.
First, Europa's magnetic field, it suggests the presence of a salty conductive layer beneath the ice.
Uh-huh.
And second, we've observed like surface features that look really similar to ice shelves that we have here on Earth.
Okay.
And it's these hints of a vast, potentially habitable ocean that make Europa such, a captivating target for exploration.
Like a hidden ocean on another world.
Right.
That's incredible.
It really is.
So the Europa Clipper is going to be packed with instruments. Oh, yeah.
To study this ocean, right? It's
Mm.
like a deep sea exploration mission, but on like a celestial scale.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the Clipper hoping to find? Like, what is it actually going to be looking for in this hidden ocean?
The ultimate goal is to determine whether life could exist on Europa.
Wow.
The Clipper will be looking for signs of, chemical imbalances or organic molecules that could indicate biological activity.
Right.
It will also, map the thickness and composition of the ice shell,
Oh.
which will provide crucial information about the ocean's potential habitability.
So if they find evidence of life,
Yeah,
it would completely change our understanding of our place in the universe. Right?
completely.
Yeah.
It's one of the most compelling reasons to explore space.
Yeah.
The possibility of discovering life beyond Earth, it just captures the imagination, doesn't it?
It really does.
Mm.
And it really highlights the profound scientific and philosophical implications of space exploration, I think.
Speaking of implications, China's lunar ambitions and the Europa Clipper mission, they both tie into this growing field of private space tourism.
Yeah, definitely.
What kind of impact might these government-led missions have on the future of private space travel?
Well, the technologies being developed for these missions could eventually become like more accessible, paving the way for, private companies and even individuals to venture into space more easily.
So you're saying that someday a trip to space might be as common as like flying to another country?
It's a possibility, yeah. But
Yeah.
as with any new frontier, there are important considerations to address.
Right.
Like, for instance, What about the environmental impact of increased space travel?
It's like we need to be mindful of our cosmic footprint, right? We
Right
don't
on.
want to end up polluting other worlds.
Right, exactly. And it's not just about physical pollution.
Yeah.
There's also the ethical dimension to consider. Do we have the right to exploit other celestial bodies for our own benefit?
Mm.
What are the long-term implications of our actions in space?
Yeah, these are some big, weighty questions
They really are.
that require careful consideration as we enter this new chapter of space exploration. Now, before we kind of dive deeper into those bigger picture questions, let's take a look at some of the reader comments from the Future Tech World article.
Okay.
People had a lot to say about China's plan, NASA's mission, and what it all means for the future of space. What stood out to you in those comments?
There was a wide range of perspectives, which is always fascinating.
Yeah.
For instance, Corbin drew a thought-provoking parallel between China's, ambitious space goals and the recent breakthroughs we've seen in treating rare diseases.
Okay.
They see both as examples of what's possible when we, push the boundaries of knowledge and dedicate resources to solving these complex problems.
That's a great point. Pushing the boundaries of knowledge seems to be like this common thread here, whether it's happening in a lab or, millions of miles away in space.
Right.
Emerson Glover, another commenter, seemed to share that enthusiasm, citing China's track record with missions like Change of 4 as evidence of their ability to achieve even more ambitious goals.
Yeah, Emerson brought up a good point about China's past successes.
Yeah.
It demonstrates a commitment to, long-term planning and investment in space exploration, which is critical for achieving those kind of ambitious goals.
Yeah, but not everyone shared that same level of enthusiasm.
That's true.
Holden expressed some concerns about the potential for increased competition and the challenges China might face in actually achieving its ambitious plans.
Yeah.
They even questioned whether China could truly match the experience and expertise of the U.S. in the space domain.
Holden makes a valid point,
Yeah.
Space exploration is inherently risky and complex,
Right.
requiring significant resources and expertise.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how China navigates those challenges as it pursues its goals.
And then there was Santiago Alvarez,
Yes.
who brought up the potential impact of China's space program on private space tourism. And they also highlighted the recent $8.8 billion in economic development funding that Argentina received from the World Bank and the Inter-American Development Bank.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Wondering if this could, propel Argentina into the space race?
Santiago's comment was intriguing. It raises the question of whether we'll see a diversification of players in space exploration, perhaps even new partnerships and collaborations emerging.
That's a great place to pause for now.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
From China's ambitious moon plans to NASA's quest to explore Europa's hidden ocean.
So much to talk about.
We've even touched on the potential impact on private space travel and just the diverse perspectives people have on these developments.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. And we've only just scratched the surface.
Absolutely.
When we come back, we'll delve deeper into the implications of this new era of space exploration.
Okay.
We'll explore those ethical and environmental questions we touched upon.
Yeah, those are important.
And consider what it all means for the future of humanity's relationship with space.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about some of the interesting thoughts that readers of that Future Tech World article had brought up.
Yep.
Santiago, particularly, had this thought about how Argentina, after getting billions in development funding, could potentially enter the space race, maybe even partnering with China.
It really did spark my curiosity, It would be fascinating to see more countries get involved in space exploration.
Yeah, for sure.
But like we were saying before, as we, venture further into space, we can't just ignore the ethical and environmental considerations.
Right.
What happens if space tourism really does take off? What kind of impact will that have on our solar system?
It's a crucial point, and one immediate concern is this whole issue of space debris.
Right.
Even now, Earth's orbit is just, cluttered with these defunct satellites and rocket parts, and increased space travel could make that problem significantly worse.
Yeah, it's like leaving trash behind on a camping trip
Right.
on a cosmic scale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not just unsightly, it's actually dangerous.
Right.
This debris can collide with operational satellites and spacecraft,
Yeah.
posing a real serious threat to future missions and even like astronauts.
Right.
There's also the risk of debris falling back to Earth,
Yeah.
potentially causing damage or even injuries.
We wouldn't want a welcome home present from space to be a hunk of metal falling on our heads.
No, definitely not.
So what can be done? Like what can we actually do to address this space junk problem?
Well, there are, a number of potential solutions being explored. Some involve, actively removing debris from orbit using things like nets or robotic arms. Others focus on, designing spacecraft and satellites that are less likely to create debris in the first place.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to be proactive and responsible
Yeah, absolutely.
and really think about those long-term consequences of our actions in space.
Hmm.
And it's not just about the physical stuff that we leave behind, is it?
No, not at all.
You mentioned something earlier about the importance of planetary protection.
Right. Planetary protection is all about preventing the contamination of other celestial bodies with Earth-based life.
Yeah.
Imagine if,
Right.
the Europa Clipper inadvertently carried microbes from Earth to Europa's ocean.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we could end up contaminating a pristine environment,
Exactly.
potentially ruining any chance of finding life that might already exist there.
Right. And even if we didn't find life, introducing Earth-based microbes could, disrupt Europa's natural environment
Right.
and skew any scientific findings.
That would be like a scientific tragedy.
It would be.
It sounds like we need to tread very carefully
Very carefully.
and develop, really strict protocols to make sure that our exploration doesn't come at the cost of these potentially unique ecosystems.
I think that's crucial. And beyond the physical contamination, there's also this broader ethical question
Right.
about our right to exploit resources from other celestial bodies.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, do we really have the right to claim ownership or extract resources from, planets and moons that aren't ours? What are the implications for future generations? It feels like we're entering uncharted territory, both, literally and figuratively.
We are. We really are. And it's important to have these conversations now, to ensure that our exploration of space is guided by ethical principles and a sense of responsibility for the long-term well-being of humanity in our solar system.
It's a lot to consider, right?
Yep.
The technical achievements, the scientific discoveries, the ethical implications, it's all kind of intertwined.
Yeah, they are.
It seems like space exploration isn't just about rockets and robots anymore.
Right.
It's really a reflection of who we are as a species and how we choose to interact with the universe around us.
That's a profound way to put it.
So as we stand on the brink of this new era of space exploration, with China aiming for the moon, NASA preparing to explore Europa's hidden ocean, and private companies pushing the boundaries of what's possible, what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Yeah.
What should they be thinking about as they process all this information?
That is a great question to guide us into the final part of our deep dive.
Right.
Stay with us because we'll be back to wrap things up and explore the broader implications of this new space age.
Welcome back to our deep dive into China's space ambitions and all that it means for the future of space exploration. Before the break, we were talking about some of those ethical and environmental things we have to consider with increased space travel.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about our responsibility as we go further into space.
Absolutely. It's like we're entering a whole new age of exploration, and with it, comes a new set of challenges and responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
We have to make sure that what we do in space is, guided by careful thought and a commitment to doing things sustainably and ethically.
It's like a reminder that space exploration isn't just about, how good our technology is. It's about our values and how we see the future.
That's a great point.
So, with all that said, what does the future hold for space exploration? What are the big questions that our listeners should be thinking about as they're following these developments?
Well, China's plan to be a leader in space science by 2050 is really mixing things up.
Yeah.
It raises the question of whether we'll see, a new space race, kind of like what happened between the U.S. and the Soviet Union back in the 20th century.
A new space race. Sounds kind of intense. I wonder if it'll be more competitive or more collaborative this time around.
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
Will countries be trying to be the best in space? Or will we see a more cooperative approach where everyone shares their resources and knowledge to work towards, common goals?
Yeah, I guess it could go either way. But what about, like, the role of those private companies like
Yeah.
SpaceX and Blue Origin?
Right.
They seem to be making some big progress with space travel technology.
Yeah, they are.
Could they actually end up being the ones leading the way in this new space age?
Private companies are playing a bigger and bigger role in space exploration these days.
Yeah.
They're the ones coming up with new ideas, pushing the boundaries, and making space more accessible for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally possible that they become the main drivers of space exploration going forward, maybe even overtaking government agencies.
Wow, could you imagine that? Like a future where going to space is normal
Yeah.
and it's all run by companies.
It would be very different from what we're used to.
And then there's like the biggest question of all, right?
Yeah.
Will we finally find proof of life beyond Earth?
That's the one.
Missions like the Europa Clipper are getting us closer than ever to answering that huge question.
Right.
The idea of finding alien life is both exciting and kind of scary. It would
Yeah.
totally change how we see the universe and where we fit in.
It really would.
It's pretty mind-blowing to think about everything that could be out there.
And as we keep exploring, I think it's important to remember that space exploration is a human thing.
Yeah.
It's about expanding what we know, seeing new things, and connecting with the universe in a deeper way.
Right.
It shows our curiosity, our cleverness,
Mm.
and our desire to explore what we don't know.
It really makes you realize that we're all part of something so much bigger than ourselves. And what we find out in space can change how we understand ourselves, our planet, and our place in the universe.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm thinking back to Santiago's comment about Argentina maybe joining the space race.
Hmm.
It made me think, what if space exploration became less about countries competing and more about the whole world working together? Like, what if instead of a space race, we had a space embrace?
The space embrace, I love that.
Yeah.
The beautiful idea of a future where everyone on Earth works together to explore space as one.
Yeah, just imagine. Scientists and engineers from every country, side by side, sharing what they know to unlock the mysteries of the universe.
That would show our shared humanity and how much we all want to explore the unknown.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe that spirit of cooperation is what will finally lead us to the biggest discoveries of all.
That's an awesome thought to end on. So, to everyone listening out there, keep looking up at those stars, keep asking those big questions, and keep exploring all the wonders of space.
Because the future of space exploration is in our hands.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.